We've got Andrew from dKO Architects, who's one of our oldest staff. Not he's not old. One of our oldest clients here in Melbourne, and he's going to talk a little bit how they use ArchiCAD and how they use the collaboration part of it to talk to other consultants and your own.
Thank you, Les. I have all these at mouse. I'm just going to go through a couple of things that we do at dKO. dKO has been around for about 10 years. For the 10 years we have been using ArchiCAD, so we've used ArchiCAD back from one of the earlier versions, so we have been modelling for over 10 years at the moment. I'll talk you through some of the technical aspects of BIM, and my colleague Blair Calvert over there, he'll talk to you a little bit about the user interface. We're on ArchiCAD 14 at the moment, which we're using Teamwork, and what I'm going to do is just discuss a little bit of the Teamwork model with you. This is what we call the BIM server control center, and we actually do use a BIM server for doing teamwork sharing. What the BIM server does, it holds the model or the BIM model that we are using as a database. So it's not a PLN, a DWG, a DGN, as we know it, as we are used to it as traditionally for CAD models. It's actually an XML database, and the database sits within the BIM server. What the BIM server allows is for multiple people to work on a BIM model all at the same time. So if I'm logged into the BIM server working on, let's say for example, a house, Blair could be working on exactly the same house, I could be working on one wall, he could be working on the door within the wall. So that's how close we can work together in a BIM model. The way it basically works is that when I first log into the BIM model, I download the whole model onto my laptop, my computer in cache. So I have a copy of the model on my local computer. That initial contact can be a little bit slow, because as you can imagine, you could download 100, 150 meg worth of drawing or model. However, once it's actually downloaded, the movement in the BIM server and using Teamwork is actually quite quick. So what I can do is I reserve certain amounts of objects, and Blair will talk you through that and show you how that works. And I only send and receive the packets of the little details that I do. So if and it'll send it as very small packets. So if I'm working on a door, the only thing it'll send back to the server is the changes that I've done to the door. It won't send back the whole model. So I'm not sending back hundreds of megs of drawing all the time. I'm sending hundreds of kilobytes of information back and forward. What we do with the BIM server is we have server manager. With the server manager, what I can do is I can control who accesses the project, and I must apologise, it's not the ArchiCAD that's playing, so my laptop's I can have a list of projects. I've only got one loaded on this one at the moment, which I've just set up for this demonstration. Within the project, I can add users. I've got myself as a user. I can set myself up as a lead architect. I can set myself up as server administrator. We can go all the way down from draftsman to architect to viewer. So if you have one of your project architects or one of your directors who loves to go into a BIM model and have a fiddle around, as we all know, we have a lot of senior people who love to do that, we can allow him to have a look, but he can't change anything. So the BIM server gives us that much control over what the people are doing. I can add people and subtract people as they come and go on a project. So if we have staff leaving or going on to other projects, I can take them off. They can't access that project. So the team leader or the project architect has full control over who accesses, who works on the project, and what they actually can do on the project. We can create roles. We have an architect role, we have a draftsman's role. So if I go into architect role and settings, it allows me to tick and untick what they're allowed to do. They can create master layouts, they can do layouts, they can do viewports, composites, almost absolutely anything. So the control that you do have is actually quite good. You can control your libraries. So all your libraries can be read on the BIM server. So when your staff or the people are using the team are using doors, windows, or any objects at all, you can control what objects you're using. You're not getting a spattering of different objects on a model. It gives you a lot more control. It works a lot smoother and a lot easier than we have worked in the past with traditional models. Under libraries here, we can add and remove libraries, and we've got custom properties and server activities. I'm not going to bore you with all the real details of it. One good thing that this BIM server does allow you to do is allows you to connect remotely into the model. So I could be working at home, provided I'm running Code Meter on my server, I can actually log into the server from home wirelessly and work on the model. So I can upload the model onto my laptop at home, I can do whatever work that I need to do, send and receive the changes back to the office, and while everyone else is still working in the office. Blair will go through some other things. I'll call Blair up at the moment.
Wait for balance.
And I'll leave you with the architect model again.
I'm just going to cover off some of the hands-on aspects of it, and probably some anecdotal stuff on the process. I'm not sure where everybody's at. I think the majority of architects, I'm not sure whether there's any people looking to adopt this as a technology platform or relevant. And that, I suppose, my experience is primarily ArchiCAD, and formerly the architect was basically you went in and you took a floor or a level or a series of layers in there. It's been quite I suppose, revelation is a broad statement, but a fairly big step in the fact that you can actually effectively now grab items literally as you go. You can literally pick up one item and then from there do as you please with it and then release it, send and receive it back through there. The ability for us to have 8 people in a model and working in different aspects, and you can tell somebody you need to work on a facade and they can pick and choose that. And if there's any clashes, there's a facility where you can actually type messages and request parts off one another. I think the big step has been that people have actually, the interaction between the staff members has stepped up. We've got a split office, we're over 2 floors, and there seems to be always a resistance to get up out of your chair, walk upstairs, say, tap service on the shoulders, and I need to work on this bit, and this bit. The ability to actually just send a little pop-up text message on your screen and ask them, can you release walls A through Z? To do that has been a big step forward, and it's probably been a bit of a shift in thinking as well as far as the collaborative effort goes. So we're interior designers working in the same model as the designers, as the draftees, and everybody has competing demands for various items within the file. And I think it's probably prompted a bit more conversation, a bit more resolution, rather than traditional system where you'll have a separate drawing doing your bathroom fit out. So, and you look at that down the track and you realise that actually they've swapped the toilet and the basin around in there, only to find that when you've done your concrete profile drawings, the penetrations have then not been swapped in that because it was an ongoing drawing. So the facility to actually have this continual crossover of information between the staff members has been pretty substantial sort of shift from where we've sort of progressed through. And I think it's one of those things we're learning to better utilise the model, and as we're sort of progressing forward, we're learning more about the depth of information that we can apply to this. Things like the windows themselves are just an object, but there's a move to place more information and more loading onto each of these objects to the point where we can actually put out a schedule, and it will give us not just your basic dimensional information from what you see on the drawings, but also your glass, and then the next step there is loading up your glass with a thermal rating and various coefficients. So it's I suppose a learning curve for us. We've getting to the point where we're better utilising these things each project we go on. And I think that's aiding us in the ability that we can then, once we sort of get our heads around this internally, we're at a point where we can then start better communicating with external consultants in regards to putting out models for the thermal modelling, better interface with the structural things through there.
One thing if I can add there, when we document, this is actually the model you're looking at, even though you're looking at a floor plan, it's actually just a 3D model. We model in 3D model, we design in 3D, we document in 3D. We don't at any stage draw a line in the sand and say, right, the model's done, the BIM model's finished, let's export to 2D and send it to another package that only does 2D. We never get to that point. We finish the whole project as a 3D model. When it's completed and built, we have a 3D model. It's a BIM model finished. So I think it's really, really important that there's a lot of companies that we notice that they do draw a line in the sand at certain stages and export everything to 2D because it's all too hard and we need to rush out at the end. But like Laz's graph showed earlier, all your hard work's at the start with the BIM model. As you're documenting, it does become easier and quicker. So to draw the line in the sand and then say, right, we're going to export to 2D, you've got like a double hump. You've done all your hard work and then you're exporting back out to 2D CAD to, again, reinvent the wheel.
Sorry.
We got it. It's
Yeah,
Vista, sorry.
Yeah, it's the laptop, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
That's good. Just as a sort of a final note for us, we've recently completed our tenure to a large degree on a project in Auckland, church redevelopment. Jasmax in New Zealand, a fairly major company over there, have taken over the I suppose, the construction management, overseeing that. At the end of that project for us, we basically gave them one was a whopping great IFC file in the end, and they're now using that to, I suppose, make amendments to drawing bits and pieces. There was a little bit of a learning curve with that because they're Revit-based through there, and there's a bit of to and fro, but the ability for us to basically pack up everything in a completely different CAD platform and give it to them to the point where they can then amend drawings as things change on site and eventually do as-builts is quite a major shift from having to flatten everything out to a DWG level and then have them modify it from that point.
Again, I apologise for this laptop. Mine actually died, and I grabbed this on the way here. I'm just quickly loading things on.
Okay.
But it's working.
Yeah. We'll kill that because it's not halfway. Okay. Cool. Thanks, sir.
Well, let's see. So basically, dKO, we'll take the model from the start. The designers will create the model. We'll go over to the documenters who will then create a team. We put it through the BIM server, and we have a whole team from 1 to 5 people working on it. We do from single multi-million-dollar homes to urban planning using BIM. We do multi-story residential, we do high-rise residential, and it's all just done through BIM modelling. And I recommend that everyone use it, same as people have said on before we've come on, but it's definitely the way to go. It's not the future, it's now. So thank you very much.